so we've got our white glaze in here. We've got the thermometer and the scale so that we can check how much we need to complete the project. Just taking my cake out from the freezer, I just want to scale and see how much buttercream I've used to coat. So it's 2175, which means I've used about 225 grams or so, so about 250 grams. So it's quite a relevant amount. It's not like just putting 5 grams. So we have to take this in consideration. Now I'm going to check the temperature, and I've got minus 4 degrees, which is yeah, minus 4.8, which is great. The temperature of my glaze is about 30 degrees and it's fine, but I know it's quite fluid. I've tried it before. So I'm going to make a small hole into my piping bag and then transfer my cake in here. So I will just remember that I've got 2175. I just want to see how many grams of glaze I need as well. Okay, just going to put this on one side and then just start pouring. I just want to leave those ribs to go shorter, longer, whatever. If you want to keep that like a regular, then you should control the pressure. And then also you need to remember that the drips will stop depending on the fluidity of your glaze and then the coolness of your cake. So if your cake is not chilled enough, then your drips will carry on running on the side, while if the cake is super cold, the drips will stop. Okay, so you have to make sure that you control the temperature of your mix you use for making the drips, but also the temperature of your cake. Both are super important. Okay, so once the drips are done, all I have to do is just to quickly float the area. Now, silly me, I forgot to get a palette to level. I'm just going to quickly clean my buttercream palette and then just spread the mixture, because obviously the cake is cold and you will get set super quick. Okay, and just going to add just a little bit more to cover the spots I've missed. But I don't want to put too much because I don't want this to actually run on the side of the cake. I just want to complete the area. The top of the cake. Okay. Good. I can put a little bit more just to flatten the top, and that will. And now I will just need to make sure next time when I start floating, I've got a spatula next to me. You know, those things do happen. That's not the end of the world. Okay, so that's done. Now I have to transfer the cake onto the scale and see how many grams of glaze I've used. So I had 2175 and now I got 2259. So 2175. So it's like 80 grams, about 100 grams, I would say, for a slightly bigger cake. So again, quite significant. Something to bear in mind, that all those extra bits which you add on top of the cake are not for free. They have to be priced and taken in consideration. I'm just going to look around and see which area of the cake I like the most. I think I'm going to use this area. It's got drips on one side, and I can just put here the little teddy. Okay, so just going to detach him from here and set it on the area where the drips are a bit longer. But also I'm afraid that maybe this will start falling down, so I'm going to use a stick Now I think just a short stick will probably not be enough. So I'm going to use cake pop stick, but I will have to, oops, oh, one of the legs got broken. Yeah, it was just my mistake. Okay, just going to drill this through. And what I can do is literally just to pick the same amount of paste, or in fact, this is not fully dry, so I can just quickly remake that leg. You see, when things do happen, it's no problem. You can always find a way to sort out the problem. So, going to roll it into a ball shape and then elongate to create the same kind of shape I've used previously for the leg. Okay, and now I'm going to insert my stick into the cake. Okay, and then set the leg of the teddy. Where it was right here. Just going to set the body first, and then I will set the head. Okay, and that's going to be my little teddy bear, and I just have to put the rest of the decorations, and the cake is going to be done. Just by mistake I've pushed a little bit too hard and the arm got cracked as well, so I have to make sure it doesn't collapse. Okay, so just going to add the other decorations and finish off the cake. Good, so now we've got some extra bits to work with. I've got few chocolate bubbles, which I'm going to spray. Obviously that's going to be an extra expense, but it's got a really pretty effect, so you might be able to charge a little bit more for the cake, just because it looks prettier. Just going to shake those bubbles, and then I'm going to apply them on the cake. I also have got here white spray, which I can use to make them white. But if you put too much moisture, then you might end up getting into trouble. Oh. Like I did. So what I have to do now is just to put this back. So more time, less money. Okay, just going to put those back. Just adding those onto the box and then just spraying over with white first and then some shimmer. Okay, now just leave them on the side while I'm working on other things. What I have to do now is to roll the paste to make a tag. just cleaning the surface and wipe it dry. So I'm going to roll some gum paste. It's actually a mix of gum paste and modeling paste. I want it to still keep the smoothness and the taste of the modeling paste, but I wanted the color and the firmity of the gum paste. And I'm going to roll this into a strip. I want it a little bit thicker because I'm going to emboss the name. Okay. And also I have to trim the ends. Let's see if I've got a cutter here to use. A reliable one. It just seems that I don't. So I have to either use a scissor, which probably will not be the greatest way to do it. So just getting a sharp knife. And I will be tidying the edges. And also I want this part to look pretty as well. So I'm going to create that V shape on the end. The name is not very long, so it'll be fine. Don't have to stress too much, but if you've got a long name or a long message to write, make sure that you've got enough length on your tag, banner, or you want to call it. And this is still okay to use, but I don't think I've got a little bag. Oh, I do. So I can just put it in here. Good. And now I'm going to look for the letters. I'm going to use some embossers from PME. They're all really nice. And I have to do B R A E N. It's quite an unusual name, but let me double check. I just want to make sure that I've got it right. Yeah. Okay, so then I'm going to position the letters, spacing them evenly. If you don't know exactly where to start or where to finish, start with the middle letter, and that's going to give you it will be like a good guide. So just going to emboss the middle. Told you. Going to do the other two. And the ones on the very edge. And just going to, if you want to re-emboss, make sure that you go over nicely without overlapping unevenly, as it's going to show. Okay, good. And now I have to make sure that those will go back into their slots, because if you put them randomly, then you will just get so angry when you will aim to reuse them again on a different project. Okay, and now I've got to mix a little bit of gold with some I can do it with some grease, but I think if I put a little bit of oil, it will give me the flow as well. And I'm not going to use oil. I will use some essence, oil-based essence. And I've got some vanilla in here. And just going to pour that right on the lid. Just a little drop. and then add some gold dust. Now the dust, especially the gold dust, and all the shimmer dusts, in fact, are quite tricky when they are mixed with something like water based, because they just lose the shine. But the best way to get that maintain the shiny look is just to use something oil based. So that's the reason why I'm using oil, but not just like a normal oil, where you can if you want to, but just want to use some nicely fragrance oil. I'm just going to paint. Okay, just going to finish off this bit. Now if by mistake you put a drop on the side, then you can just get a cotton bud, and then you can just wash the paste and leave it to dry. It's not the end of the world. It's worse when you've got to work with white paste, because that needs a good washing, but it's still okay. Okay. And even if I will have, when I will put the lid back onto my color, even if I will have some dust dropped onto the lid, that's going to be used on my next project. So, well, obviously if you use water, you can not put the lid back. You have to make sure you dry the lid first. And okay, I'm just going to add a little more in here. So as I said, every time when you're looking to preserve that shimmer look, use some oil-based products. Obviously, if you've overflowed the lid with oil, make sure you clean it first before putting it back. But mine is fine. Okay, then with the brush, I'm just going to wipe the brush, but that's going to be used for a similar project, just painting with gold. You can also add some gold on the edges if you want to. You can also paint some of your bubbles in gold if you want to, or in blue, or but I'm going to stop here because that's just time consuming and it's just going to increase the cost of the case. I've got also some Rita Forels in white. I wouldn't suggest to use like draggies, slightly bigger bonbons, because they're very hard to eat and they can break the teeth, and the dentists are super expensive nowadays. Going to get my double-sided tape, and I will add a ribbon around the board as well. Okay, so just going to put the double-sided tape first. Just peeling the double side is a bit tricky, but once you've done it, it's all nice and good. So that just goes around. Make sure you use a flat surface when you do it, and then peel off the back. And then when you pull, just leave a bit of an excess. It will be easier to do it next time. But I think I've been quite precise cutting with a scissor last time, and it's just not the best idea you can have. Going to put a ribbon. Now, finding ribbons to the right width of the board, it came to be quite challenging over the last few months, as to maintain the accessible price for the boards. Many companies decided to make the boards not so thick as they used to be before. and that makes the process of finding the right width tape super complicated. Now I'm just going to obviously overlap in here. What I did, I put some of the tape which I had on my ribbon, and that got stacked in here. So okay, so just going to overlap and then just trim the ribbon. Okay, then I'm going to just look at the front of the cake and see where this tag is going to go. Trying to find a space where I can still see the drips, but also see the name. Up. Got a bit challenging in here, just because I want the name to be seen, but also want the drips to be seen as well. Okay, so I think that's sorry, I just don't like it that much how it looks like, so I just have to keep playing with it to find the right curve. Just going to remove some of the drip because it got deteriorated. You can definitely correct those things if they happen. I think the bit is a little bit too big for the size of my cake, and if I don't want to cover the drips. Yeah, I think that will do. That will do. Okay, so there is always a solution for any problem. Okay, that will do. Just going to shave off. So I was about to say, if you want to clean anything, any mistake you made in the buttercream, make sure that the buttercream gets firm, so that when you scrape off, you don't ruin the surface. You just take away whatever mistake you've made. Mistakes are human. Okay, what I really want to do is, just because I've got this crack on the arm as I was pulling the arm, it got cracked. So just going to improvise something. And put like a little bandage in here, just taking the right measurement and adding a bit of grease to stick it to the arm. Okay, just in case someone was still not clear about what the baby is going to be. They know for sure now there is going to be a boy. Okay, so get in here, getting the little nonpareils and just sprinkle them on the top. Then all I have to do is just to put the bubbles. I'm just going to turn it towards me so that I can see what I'm doing. Just setting those bubbles randomly or whatever you think you will look the best. Got an extra one which I want to attach on the board. Going to use some of the glaze. Going to put a small one as well in here and another one in here. And one in here. Good. So that's my little cake. It is actually quite little. And yeah, with a super lazy teddy bear and some chocolate bubbles.